All right, today we are talking about React. And look, it's one of those things that's pretty much everywhere on the internet. It is the revolutionary tool that powers so much of what you use every single day. Seriously, from the feed you're scrolling right now to the show you're about to stream, its influence is just massive. So we're going to break down exactly how it works and why it's such a big deal.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever been scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and new posts just appear seamlessly right at the top? Or maybe you're binge watching something on Netflix and the interface just updates around the video without ever skipping a beat. Well, that instant, super fluid experience, that's not an accident. That's what we're talking about today. So to really get why React is so important, we have to go back in time a little bit. We have to understand the problem it was built to solve. Because before React showed up, making websites feel fast and interactive, man, it was a huge challenge for developers. And the difference is just night and day. The old way, on the left here, meant that for any tiny little update, like, say, a new comment appeared, the entire page had to reload. It was clunky, it was slow, and it was a mess to manage. But React, on the right, it completely changed the game. It allows for these tiny, surgical updates, which makes the whole web feel instantaneous. So, where did this game-changing idea even come from? Well, the revolution started at Facebook, way back in 2011. You gotta remember, they were dealing with this incredibly complex news feed, and they just needed a better, more efficient way to handle it all. And their solution? It would end up changing web development forever. This was their big idea, the virtual DOM. Okay, so think of it this way. Every web page has a hidden structure, kind of like a family tree, called the DOM. In the old days, changing anything on the page meant directly messing with that tree, which was really slow. So React introduced a brilliant workaround, a blueprint, a copy of that tree that lives in memory, the virtual DOM. Now, instead of touching the real page, React updates this blueprint first, figures out the absolute fastest, most efficient change possible, and then it updates only that one tiny part of the actual screen. The result? Incredible speed.
And you know, React didn't just stop there. It evolved, and it evolved fast. It was born at Facebook in 2011, but it absolutely exploded in popularity when they made it open source in 2013. By 2015, the same ideas were being used to build mobile apps. And then, in 2019, an update called Hooks made it way simpler and even more powerful. It's really been over a decade of nonstop innovation.
Okay, this brings us to the core philosophy of React, and it's all about building with digital blocks. Instead of thinking of a website as this one giant, monolithic page, you think of it as a collection of small, reusable pieces, kind of like digital Lego bricks. And this was a massive shift in thinking. Developers could finally stop telling the browser how to change things step by step, and instead just declare what the screen should look like. React handles the rest. So these Lego blocks, they're built using something called JSX. And at first glance, it looks a lot like the HTML that web pages are made of, but it's actually a special kind of code written right inside JavaScript. This is so cool because it lets developers keep the structure of a component and all the logic that controls it in one single place. It just makes the code so much cleaner and easier to understand. So, if these are digital blocks, how do they handle data? Well, in two main ways. First, you have props, which are kind of like instructions passed down from a parent block to a child. But then you have state, and this is really important. State is a block's own internal memory. It's data that the block itself can change and react to over time. And this right here, this is where the magic happens. Let's take a super simple counter. Initially, its state is 0, right? So the screen shows count 0. Then a user clicks the button. That action updates the component's internal state from 0 to 1. React sees that change and instantly, it re-renders just that little piece of the screen to show count 1. This simple loop is what makes React apps feel so alive and interactive.
You know, an idea this powerful couldn't just stay stuck on websites. This whole philosophy of building with components was so good that it quickly expanded way beyond the browser to power an entire digital ecosystem.
So, who is actually using React? I mean, the list is basically a who's who of the tech world. Meta, of course. Facebook and Instagram run on it. But also Netflix, Airbnb, Uber, Discord. The list goes on and on. All of these companies depend on a fast, reliable user experience, and they all made the bet on React to deliver it.
And this is best seen in React Native.
While the original React is for building websites, React Native takes those exact same core principles, the virtual DOM, components, state, and applies them to building real, native mobile apps for both iOS and Android, often from a single set of code. It's just a huge testament to how powerful that core idea really is.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? As we start to wrap up, it's pretty clear that understanding React isn't just about learning another tool for developers. No, it's something way more fundamental than that. The crucial point is this, and I want this to sink in. When you learn React, you're not just learning a framework, you're mastering the language of modern interfaces. React basically wrote the rulebook for how we build and interact with the digital world today. And that leaves us with one final, really fascinating question. React has set the standard for over a decade, but as technology keeps evolving, what will the next generation of digital experiences be built on? Will it just be an evolution of React's ideas, or are we about to see something entirely new? For now, though, React's legacy is the very foundation of the modern web.